All right, let's talk about something very, very important today on the podcast. A lot of people that I've been talking to, a lot of business owners I've been talking to recently have been giving me the same answer. Like, we don't have enough money for marketing, okay? And I understand that. And today we're going to go over the core four that Alex Hormozi talks about when it comes to client acquisition. One of the key things that I understand from talking to over 100 business owners in the last month is it's not a matter of not having enough money for marketing. It's understanding that the difference between building for growth and building for survival is simply in the numbers, simply in the understanding that marketing is what's going to scale your business. That is what's going to scale your business, whether it's referrals, whether it's cold outreach, warm outreach, paid ads, or organic content, whatever it is, that's what's going to grow your business. Bringing in more people into your business, no matter what your business is going to grow it, right? But the issue is a lot of small businesses, a lot of local businesses for sure, are not built for scale. They're built for survival. They're built because a chiropractor wanted to be a chiropractor. And what I mean by that is they wanted to do what they love. They felt that they were the best chiropractor in their in their group of chiropractors. They worked for another chiropractor maybe that had their own, what do they call it? Their own clinic. They had their own clinic and they felt like they could do it on their own, right? And so they wanted to be able to have their own hours and, be their own boss, right? And so what did they do? They opened up their own clinic and they started seeing the clients that they brought over from the other clinic, right? But the problem with that is that and I don't mean this with any disrespect because this is something that I had to deal with. You're just a chiropractor. You're not a business owner. You don't understand, the financial aspect of things. You don't understand the client acquisition side of things. You don't understand LTV, CAC, AOV. You don't understand those things, which Kevin O'Leary was talking about this the other day. It's like the two most important things are CAC and LTV, okay? Cost of acquiring a customer and how long that customer is staying with you, the lifetime value of the customer. So if you understand how much it costs for you to get a client, then you'll have no problem spending money on marketing, right? So it goes all the way back down to what we were talking about. It's not can I afford to market? It's can I afford not to market, right? So when you first get in business, the best thing you can do, and Alex Hormozi talks about this a lot, is the best thing you can do is like pre-sell, right? And I don't mean this in a way that's like some people, and he even says this as well, like how do I say this? Be a good person, right? Don't pre-sell and then not give them what they want. One thing I've learned in the marketing space for our clients is setting out the deliverables from day one. This is how many pieces of content you're going to get. This is how many clients we're going to guarantee that you get or we work for free. We make sure that we set the deliverables day one because if we just tell you, hey, we'll make you guys great content or, also having that guarantee in there as well is very important. It's like, we'll get you 5 to 10 clients guaranteed or your money back or we work for free until we do. So having those standards at the beginning is very, very important, right? So the same goes for whatever industry you're in, right? So let's break it down. Let's break it down into some practical steps today. One of the most important things, have I not been using the right mic? Is that crazy? Yeah, I have. Okay, anyway. This is the first podcast, by the way, so I'm super excited, but also very hesitant. And I'll talk about that in another podcast. But I've helped many different podcasts get from 0 to 100,000 downloads, listeners, followers, whatever, and over 2 billion views on podcasts. So one thing that I haven't been doing that I'm taking more inspiration from people like Caleb Ralston and Omar. I forgot his last name. I don't know how to say his last name, but Omar he was at Think Media. Now he started his own brand. But these two guys, they worked for high-level brands that we all know, Gary Vee, Alex Hormozi, Layla Hormozi, and then Omar worked at Think Media. And one thing that I'm taking inspiration from is creators or, directors, creative people, creative directors for these big names going and doing their own media. For me personally, it's more of I need to advertise more. If I need more high-paying clients, not more clients necessarily, but more high-paying clients, then I need to have more of a presence online. Simple as that. So let's go through today the most important things that you can be doing when it comes to, your business. Literally, the name of this podcast, today's episode is what's best for my business, right? So if you're stuck in a place where you can handle more clients, but you're not getting more clients, then you need to be doing what Alex Hormozi calls the core four. Okay, that's organic content, that's cold outreach, warm follow-ups, or paid ads. There's only 4 ways that you can get clients. There's only 4 ways that people can know about you, right? Let's go through the list. Organic content. Organic content that educates, builds trust, and documents the journey. Those are 3 things that you can do tomorrow. Educates, builds trust, and documents the journey. We have something at our agency that we call CARE method. It basically, before I go through the CARE, you need to understand that you need to be posting content daily. You need to be posting content daily, preferably 3 to 4 times a day. But I understand that people are going to get burnt out, right? People are going to get burnt out. And so what you need to make sure you're doing is focusing on content that builds trust, that educates. It needs to educate, it needs to build trust, it needs to focus on the target audience, right? So we have what we call the CARE method, okay? The CARE method, again, the CARE method needs to be implemented. Every single piece of content that you're doing, every single marketing thing that you're doing needs to be the CARE method. Let's talk about the CARE method. Let's go through it. C stands for credibility, okay? You need to have credibility in what you're doing. I imagine that you're in the business that you're in because you have credibility, okay? So what is credibility? What's an example of credibility? I worked with 10 podcasts that did over 100,000 downloads, and this is what I learned, right? The credibility piece. I have credibility because I've done X, Y, and Z. If I said, here's stock advice, and you were like, well, what have you done? If I gave you the same stock advice as Warren Buffett, you would be like, I don't believe you, but I believe him. Just because he's Warren Buffett, I could tell you the exact same thing, but you wouldn't have the credibility piece, okay? The second one, A, is approachability. When you watch a TV show and you watch the characters, you feel like you know the characters. If you listen to Joe Rogan or like whatever your favorite podcast is, hopefully it's this one eventually, but if you feel like you know these people, right? And that's also an issue. Joe Rogan talks about this. People come up to him all the time acting as if they already know him, but Joe Rogan doesn't know them, obviously. So it's a weird situation. But approachability, people need to know you, and that's where, building the journey or documenting the journey comes in. And I think we're going to have a lot of different brands in the next 5 to 10 years that people are literally going to be able to have watched grow up. And it's crazy, but it's also amazing. And I think you have that approachability piece. The third one in CARE, so we have the C, A, and then results, okay? What are your results? The before and afters. Like we took this brand from 10,000 followers to 100,000 followers in 6 months using these strategies. So understanding your results helps people believe in you a little bit more. Everything that the CARE method does just adds depth. If I came on here right now and I said, you should be doing these 3 steps, well, there's no depth there. Anyone can look that up. Someone said this recently, I forgot who it was, but they said, don't give Googleable content. If I can Google what you just told me, then I don't need you. But if I said, I've interviewed 100 CEOs at Fortune 500 companies so that you don't have to go and read their books. They've generated, trillions of dollars amongst them. Here's their 5 steps to building your first company. You'd be like, okay, I'll read that because I don't want to have to go through all the other stuff, right? And so for me, the CARE method does that. You have credibility, approachability, results, and then the last one is education. That's the last piece that I was just talking about is these people, I interviewed these people. These people have these results, and I'm going to tell you what they told me. That's the entire CARE method right there. How can you use this in your business? Let's go through a couple of examples, okay? First example, I'm a chiropractor. I've cracked over 100 backs. I've cracked 1,000 backs. I've cracked over 1,000 backs. Me and my wife opened this chiropractor clinic 5 years ago. We've seen 10 people come in, and all 10 of them have extended their lifespan by 50. What am I saying? Go back. So how can we use this in your business? Well, let's go through, let's say you're a lawn care company, right? and you say, we've helped over 1,000 people cut their lawns here in St. Johns County or here in Jacksonville or wherever you are, here in Philadelphia. And we've helped over 1,000 people with their lawns. You could even show the pictures of the lawns so that we have the results, right? And then you could say, and here's the 5 things that you need to do to make sure that your lawn doesn't end up like this. And you're just going down the list, right? If you're a coffee shop and you say, we've served over 10,000 cups of coffee. We've realized serving 10,000 cups of coffee that the average person consumes this type of coffee or this type of coffee. Here's how to make that. Here's how to make it yourself so you don't have to come into the coffee shop. All this stuff is credibility, approachability, results, and education. You need to create a content strategy, whether it's posts, whether it's reels, whether it's a podcast, whatever it is, to check off the boxes of the CARE method: credibility, approachability, results, and education. So we've broken down the CARE method. Let's go back to what does my business need, right? So the CARE method is about organic content. This is how you put out your content. Now, cold outreach, right? Cold outreach is manual, but it's high ROI, okay? Whether you're DMing, whether you're cold emailing, whether you're putting value first type of offers, it gets you short-term wins and builds relationships. I've used this strategy. I've used cold outreach, cold DMs for the last month and a half. I've sent out over 100 DMs every single day, and a lot of them don't get back to me. I would say the numbers right here are 5 and 100. What is that, 20%? What am I saying? So 5% of people get back to me in the DMs, and I mean respond to me in the DMs. What does that mean? That means that so if I get 5 responses, and the crazy thing is from the 5 responses, I'll get 2 meetings, okay? I'll get 2 meetings. So 100 DMs gets me 5 responses and 2 meetings. At that point, it's just a numbers game. You got to get this down to a numbers game, guys. So I know now that if I'm sending out 100 DMs and I have the scripts and all that stuff, 100 DMs and I get 5 responses and 2 meetings, at this point, I just need to have, I need to understand, okay, well, from those 2 meetings, how many clients am I signing? Well, at this point, I would say we're signing about 3 clients a month right now. So you can see how you can get back to the numbers. Now, this is another thing, is that the life cycle of the leads is what it is. So the life cycle of the leads is someone might respond to me in 10 days time and be interested, and we don't sign until 2 months later, right? So all you're doing here is you're kicking up dirt. You're getting some energy going from sending out these DMs. That's something that people don't really talk about. They talk about the numbers and they talk about how you can reverse engineer, which is 100% true with the cold DM strategy. But you need to realize that you're kicking up dirt, which is great because you want people to know about you, right? Now, the next one is warm leads. Warm leads are, like I said, if you're kicking up dirt and you're talking to people, and I have 2 meetings, those are warm leads. I'm going to meet these people. I'm going to talk to them. They're going to see my face. They're going to know what I do. Those are warm. I can come back to them, or I can use them as retargeting for when I run ads, right? So this is old leads, unclosed deals, or your email list, people who have opted in, right? So people who hold up their hand and they say, I want to talk to you. I want to learn more. I'm interested, but I just don't have the money right now. People who hold up their hand. What we need to do is we need to nurture those leads, right? We need to nurture them, and we need to say, hey, I'm doing this free event I work with a lot of local clients now. So I'm doing this free event. I'd love to come see you, or I'd love for you to come see us. They come in, we do the event, talk to them, and we just keep them around, right? We keep them around and we nurture them. Lastly, paid ads. People think that paid ads, I know this for a fact because I've talked to a lot of business owners in the last couple months. People think that paid ads are like genie in a bottle. And here's the issue is, well, number one, let me give you the truth. The truth is, if you don't have an organic brand, your cost to acquire a customer is going to be so high with ads. And it's sad because I see a lot of business owners that I really respect that believe that if they just run more ads, they're going to learn the process and they're going to get better at it, which you'll get better at it, but it's too slow. For me, it's too slow. You've wasted too much money and the money you could have spent on organic. I mean, obviously that's what I do, but you spent on organic content would have gotten you way better ROI in the long run than just doing paid ads for a product that's unproven, that you have no organic content, you have no brand. That doesn't make sense to me. However, a lot of people are doing it. A lot of people think that paid ads is their marketing. So if I put out more flyers, then I'm going to get more clients. And then they're doing it they're not even doing it at a local level. And it is what it is. But for me, we need to go through this process in a smart way. We need to be putting out organic content. We need to be seeing what's sticking, what people are wanting, what the comments are saying, etc. And we live in a world now where there's less engagement, there's less people are going to follow you less. There's less engagement. Content has to be high quality at this point, and it's just the way the world's going, right? So the idea here is you don't need a big budget, okay? You don't need a big budget. You need consistency, you need a good offer, and you need some systems, okay? How can we get content out every single day? Well, let's reverse engineer and go back. I can sit here and take the content, edit it real quick, and post it. That's fine. That is a fine strategy. If you're going to be consistent, that is a fine strategy. And my idea is, I want you, if you don't have the money for marketing, is to sit down and write out a good script, right? 30-second to 45-second script. Good hook, good retention/education, and then a call to action at the end. Now, the call to action at the end is follow for more. Comment the word blank. Not book a call with me and I'll give you a free consultation. Not that type of call to action. Call to action as in leave a comment or comment the word back if you want my free whatever. That's the call to action I'm talking about. Not the call to action, click the link in my bio, get a free consultation, blah, blah, blah. Not that type of call to action. Sit down, script it out. All this stuff should take you 20 minutes max. If it takes you more than 20 minutes, don't do it. Just post. Colin Samir, these two great YouTubers that I follow, they have this company called Press Post, and it's sick because at the end of the day, just press play, just press post, just press record, just do it and figure it out. This is something I had to get over, and this is what I'm doing right now. This is why I'm doing this podcast, because I rather bet on myself in this podcast, etc., than fail. Or I rather fail doing that than try this, be successful and then try this in 5-10 years time. I've waited too long. So we're doing it now. So the action plan, 1 post per day, talking to your ideal client. Imagine there's a client in front of you. What are you talking to them about? What are some FAQs? Imagine they ask you a question. Answer the question in a clear, concise way. Start with a hook though. Some psychological hook, a statistical hook, a visual hook. Yeah, a hook. And then send out 5 to 10 DMs a day with value. What does this mean? Well, if you're a business, first of all, and we'll talk about this another time, but it's like business versus personal, right? People are willing, Elon Musk has way more followers than Tesla, than SpaceX. And people talk about this a lot, but I see it as truth. Personal brand is better than a product or business brand. And that's my opinion. 5 to 10 DMs a day with value, basically saying, hey, I saw you like my content. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, just let me know and I'd be happy to answer them for you. It's that simple. Hey, I appreciate the follow. If you have any questions about back health or spinal health, just drop a DM and I'll be happy to answer. If you don't mind me putting in a video to help more people, great. I appreciate that. Warm weekly email or follow up. If you have emails in your business, you should be running a newsletter. Not as a promotion. Hey, these are the 10 things you need to look out for with back pain. You need to be, 5 things that you need to be doing if you have back pain. More walking, more movement, spinal waves, whatever it is. Whatever the answer is, it should be in a weekly email. If you have a client that day, that week, you need to be saying, okay, this person has asked me all these questions. That's what I'm going to be putting in my newsletter. And you just type it up and you put it in your newsletter. You're adding value. And then you could tell more people, hey, I just sent out a newsletter. Do you want me to send it to you? Yeah. Okay, what's a good email? Boom, done. They're in your email list. We're building our email list. Okay? Based on your content, now that you're putting out 1 per day, after 30 days, just look at the content that does better than the rest of the content. And then you can run ads for that. $5 a day, $10 a day behind something that people actually want to see. Back up. Here's the issue. You guys are posting flyers. Don't post flyers. Post content that is tailored to the platform that you're on. If it's Instagram, post short form reels that have a hook, that have retention, and then have a call to action at the end. DM me the word blank and I'll send you over this free thing. Follow for more. Like this post if you want to see more like these. Whatever it is. Once you've done that for 30 days straight, one post a day for 30 days. Once you've done that, see which one did well and then do more of that, okay? Simple as that. Now, if you want help building the core 4, click the link below in the description or DM me on Instagram at Andrew Moulin or at Jacksonville_marketing or at Andrew Builds Brands. That's my new account that I'm going to be posting a lot of stuff on, is at Andrew Builds Brands. DM me there. DM me the word core 4 and I'll be happy to basically jump on a call with you, go through your brand, go through your company and tell you where you need to improve, because we need that. Sometimes we need to be like, we need people to say, hey, I'm looking at your website. Your website's not 100% all there. We need to do a couple of these things. We need to be adding a lead magnet. We need to be posting more content like this, X, Y, and Z. So if you need help, just DM me the word core 4, or just DM me a nice little message and I'll be happy to get back to you. Appreciate you guys watching or listening to this podcast. I'm going to be putting out a lot more. My goal, just like you guys, is to get on this podcast at least 3 times a week for about 30 minutes, just dropping some knowledge. And I'll see you guys in the next episode.